Hello and welcome to Reality Hacker for May 17th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 20. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and in that is Reality Hacker, one of 6 weekly shows, and we have a 7th one called Non-Sequitur News that runs every day, Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday it's a composite of the 6 shows that we run on the weekends. Anyway, I'm Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI from the future, who isn't available today because we're in the time machine and they couldn't make it in time, we're going to talk about 5 articles. Another simulation theory. When an apple falls on your head, in your head. Yeah. The Age of Paranoia. The first attack, and Meta wants you. All of you. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com, so go over there, become a citizen. All right, so we had some audio glitches the last couple of days. They weren't on the recording, or so we thought, but they were. So I don't know what happened. In the monitor, everything was fine. So sorry about the artifacts. We can't even fix it because it's that there is no master that doesn't have the glitch. It was kind of weird because listening to the monitor, it was fine. But anyway, let's get into today's articles. This is the front page of ohmtown.com. It updates constantly. And that is the front page of Reality Hacker, one of many channels that we have over at ohmtown.com. Go over and become a citizen. Please tell a friend, sign up, sign in, come and hang out with us every day, typically at 7 p.m. But mayoral duties have kept me from doing things on a schedule. So you have to kind of subscribe to us over on YouTube so that you know when we launch a new episode, and or download the podcast if you just want to listen to the audio side of it and not the video to see, my long gold locks. The only way to see them is to go over to the YouTube channel and watch the stream, or subscribe to YouTube and watch the VOD later on. You can watch over on Twitch, but after 60 days it goes away, so we don't really do much over there other than stream and hang out and chat. And I always am bouncing around from streamer to streamer, like Bald Zebra or Co-Carnage I watch, and Dunkstar, of course, and Timeless_EXE. Go over and check them all out. Yeah, let's get into this. So the first article is over in the Wanted channel. Gravity could be proof we're living in a computer simulation, new theory suggests. It says gravity may not be a fundamental force of nature, but a byproduct of the universe streamlining information like a cosmic computer. Melvin M. Vopson from The Conversation put this article together. Gravity may not be a fundamental force of nature, but a byproduct of the universe streamlining information like a cosmic computer, basically trying to remove chaos by pulling everything together, is my understanding of this. I've read something about this previously, but it says it's a byproduct of the universe operating under a computer-like code of optimization, really. This is the premise of the latest research published in the journal AIP Advances. It suggests that gravity is not a mysterious force that attracts objects towards one another, but the product of an informational law of nature that the author is calling the second law of infodynamics. Entropy is what is typically referred to, even in information science, and what the equivalent of infodynamics is. But the second law of infodynamics, here they're saying that it's a notion that it seems like science fiction, but one that is based in physics and evidence that the universe appears to be operating suspiciously like a computer simulation in digital technologies, right down to the apps that your phone and in your phone, and in the world of cyberspace. Efficiency is key. Computers compact and restructure their data all the time to save memory and computer power. Maybe the same is taking place all over the universe. Information theory, the mathematical study of quantification, storage, and communication of information, may help us understand what's going on. So Claude Shannon has become the developer, or is the developer. But in a 2023 paper, the author used information theory to propose their second law of infodynamics that stipulates that information entropy, or the level of information disorganization, will have, it's basically the amount of chaos in a system, will have to reduce or stay static within any given closed information system. This is the opposite of popular second law of thermodynamics, which dictates that physical entropy or disorder always increases. I would see, like in information theory, though, it's constructed by a mandate by engineers to consolidate as much as possible, to remove inefficiencies and waste, and if you would have to sit there and say that there is something guiding nature. So take a cooling cup of coffee. Energy flows from hot to cold until the temperature of the coffee is the same as the temperature of the room, and its energy is a minimum. It's called thermal equilibrium, stasis, really. It's sitting at that level, whatever it is, until the one or the other introduces more energy, or more energy is taken out of the system by it leaking into something else. So if a room is air conditioned, it stays at a certain level. You open the door, there's cold weather outside, the heat vacates the premises, cold leaks in, and then your mug will lower in temperature as well, as energy escapes from the system until it reaches equilibrium. If one considers the information content of each molecule based on its energy, then at the start, in the hot cup of coffee, the information entropy is at maximum, and its equilibrium, the information entropy is at minimum. That's because almost all molecules are at the same energy level, becoming identical characters in an informational message, so the spread of different energies available is reduced when there's thermal equilibrium. I don't know. This is one that is so theory that I have a hard time really just buying into it. It says the universe, under this view, tends to naturally seek to be in those states of minimal information entropy. The real kicker is that if you do the numbers, the entropic informational force created by this tendency toward simplicity is exactly equivalent to Newton's law of gravitation, as shown in their paper. I haven't looked at their paper. I'm not a physicist, but I will have to wait to see if other people are evaluating this thing. It says we may not have the definitive evidence that we need, or that we live in a simulation, but the deeper we look, the more our universe seems to behave like a computational process. I don't know. If it is, it's massive in scale, and there are no... it might be seeking stasis, but it's thermal stasis. It's thermal equilibrium that's diminishing over time because energy is constantly being spent. Where is all that energy going? If energy can't be created or destroyed, it can only change form. Where is this energy going to that is causing entropic gravity, or informational force, or thermodynamics? Where is all that energy going? I'm sure that there's some, pithy, rather response, it's changing into this or that, or it's being distributed. But that is physics. That's standard physics, not information theory, not in the slightest. So is it seeking to be minimized? Yeah, but it's probably it's seeking thermal equilibrium, not informational equilibrium or stasis, or most efficient state of information, unless you equate that information to the physical state. And we're then applying our contextual framework of observing the universe. Yeah, I think there's more to this, but that's okay. We keep discovering more, and it's poking the bubble and looking beyond where we are to see what might else be out there that might be impacting or create the how did the universe form? We just keep kicking the can further down the road. That's really what it comes down to. Anyway, the next article is over in Wanted. Coming soon to Apple devices, brain control accessibility features. A standard for brain implants that would allow disabled people to control devices such as iPhones and Apple Vision Pro could be available for developers this year. I think these are baby steps towards where we should be. Omar Gallagher over at cnet.com put this article together. I love the idea of this. Basically, there are people that are in research studies that are having these meshes put in their brain that allow them to pick up signals. And if those signals can be translated into causes of action in an electronic system, then you basically have human to machine interfaces that are more directly, I should say, interfacing with the human. The company Apple is partnering with Synchron, which has been working with other companies, including Amazon, on ways to make devices more accessible. Synchron makes an implant called Stentrode, which I've actually talked about in the show previously, but you'll have to go back and do a search. I don't even have all of the information for Stentrode. But it's implanted in a vein on the brain's motor cortex. Once implanted, the Stentrode can read brain signals and translate that to movement on devices such as iPhones, iPads, Apple's Vision Pro headset, pretty much anywhere really, as long as you have the translational information moving from one device to the next. I mean, you basically create middleware that translates this into that. So if this, then that, kind of a mechanization of this. So they saw last year a patient with ALS testing the Synchron technology that was able to navigate menus in the Vision Pro device and use it to experience the Swiss Alps in VR. The technology could become more widely available to people with paralysis. Yeah, I love the idea of this. They say it may be a while before kinds of technology made by Synchron and Neuralink, which, Synchron I dig, right? Even Neuralink, it's such a play off of a cyberpunk Neuralink technology, just like the Cybertruck is built straight out of Cyberpunk. It uses the same freaking font and everything. It looks like it uses the same freaking font. Anyway, nothing original from this dude. Everybody thinks it is, but they're not in the loop about gaming and other tech, primarily Cyberpunk. I bet you Elon Musk is like just drooling over Cyberpunk, the old school tabletop RPG called Cyberpunk. The original was Cyberpunk, then 2020. Anyway. So it's important to keep in mind that while amazing medical interventions are becoming possible, the timeline for the full mainstream adoption of people with severe mobility disabilities is still long, and we should maintain a focus on ensuring that we're making products accessible now. The only problem is that I have a real problem with, at least, is that the people who are in research studies, they phase out of that technology, and they sometimes never get adapted to the newer technology. I've seen some like horror stories, but I haven't been monitoring that side of it in the last 10 years because I was so disheartened by things that I saw. Anyway, Apple recognized the social and business benefit to building inclusive products, and we're seeing an uptick in other industries focusing on inclusivity, like gaming. He said game companies are now competing for accessibility awards and driving innovation forward in an industry that is traditionally argued it's exempt from legal requirements around accessibility, yet demand for inclusion remains, and companies are innovating in this area. I don't know. Accessibility is becoming a dominant force, but we're on the cusp of a change of cultural acceptance, I think, and that's kind of the real shame of it all. So we'll see what the future holds, but Separately, Apple announced a new set of accessibility features that it plans to roll out later this year, and they include accessibility nutrition labels in the App Store to show how accessible features in games and other apps are, a magnifier tool in Mac, Braille access through compatible Braille devices, allowing for note-taking access to more books, and live captions for Braille displays, in accessibility reader mode across iOS, Mac, and Vision Pro, live captions for Apple Watch, which, oh, that's interesting. Enhanced view on Vision Pro, and other features listed on its blog. So Global Accessibility Awareness Day is today, or yesterday, actually. It was May 15th. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Reality Hacker, Deepfakes, Scams, and the Age of Paranoia. If you're not paranoid, you should be just a healthy bit. As AI-driven fraud becomes increasingly common, more people feel the need to verify every interaction they have online. Trust but verify. Lauren Good over at Wired.com put this article together. And this is the age of healthy paranoia. It benefits you to be a little bit paranoid. And I think that things like digital imposter scams aren't new. Messaging platforms, social media sites, and dating apps have long been rife with fakery. In a time when remote work and distributed teams have become commonplace, professional communication channels are no longer safe either. The same artificial intelligence tools that tech companies promise will boost worker productivity are also making it easier for criminals and fraudsters to construct fake personas in seconds. The moment somebody contacts me out of the norm, which is, how do I put this? It's typical for me not to get contacted out of a norm of radio silence because the people that I work with are doing their job. The moment that I get something out of band, I'll like a phone call and it's not from a phone number I recognize, or they say or do something even remotely close to not being on board, I'd go, hey, hold on a second, let me call you right back. And I'd find another way to get in touch with the person that is claiming to be whoever it might be. The weakest link is some other person in an enterprise than the person who is slightly paranoid. So you would be surprised, or you shouldn't be surprised, how some people just kind of fall for somebody with enough information, but they have no situational awareness. And so they go, yeah, sure, let's fix whatever it is that you're trying to change or do or whatever. It's shockingly bold. But not everybody is as paranoid as I am, and I'm healthily paranoid. It isn't irrational paranoia. I need to move something out of the way here. Hold on a second. All right. So, it says, but some corporate professionals are turning instead to old-fashioned social engineering techniques to verify every fishy-seeming interaction they have. Welcome to the age of paranoia. Yeah, that's what this article kind of goes into. They don't really say much. I mean, you basically need to have personal shibboleths between people, like checks that make sure that the person that you're interacting with is the person you're interacting with. For one of her research projects, Jessica Ice, an assistant professor studying climate change and social behavior at Indiana University Bloomington, says a research team has been forced to essentially become digital forensics experts due to the amount of fraudsters who respond to ads for paid virtual surveys. Scammers aren't as interested in the unpaid surveys, surprisingly. Yeah, because if you can make $50 or $5 and you can do it a bunch of times, then you make a bunch of money. And if you're not making any money for every minute of your existence, then you're not productive enough, right? So you can sit around, do nothing for 15 minutes, or do a virtual survey. For one of our research projects, which is federally funded, all of the online participants have to be over the age of 18 and living in the U.S., and the team would check timestamps for when the participants answered emails. And if the timing was suspicious, we could guess they might be a different time zone. Then we'd look for other clues we came to recognize, like certain formats of email addresses or incoherent demographic data. All of that can be remedied, though. How savvy they are. So yeah, you're going to have to be a healthy paranoid. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in Mobile. Humanoid robot turned on handlers at factory in dystopian attack. I actually saw this several weeks ago, if I recall correctly. It was like a B-level sci-fi movie coming to life. In shocking video, a humanoid robot was seen attacking workers at an undisclosed Chinese factory. Yeah, this video, it's not up here. It might be later on, but a humanoid robot went wild, flailing its arms, breaking a computer, and nearly hitting 2 workers in a terrifying video. Paige Gawley over at Vice.com put the article together. Yeah, here's the video. I'll play it. I don't know if it's going to be loud or not. I'm going to mute it. So basically, they go to configure this robot, they activate it, and it starts flailing its arms to the point where it like hits one of the researchers. Whoa. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to hunt down and then somebody, there's a video of that particular robot doing a dance. So yeah, I don't know if the person was actually hurt, but at any rate, it doesn't really matter. The company said that robots can help in cases such as manufacturing, healthcare, and customer service. However, it admitted that one challenge the technology poses is that of degrees of freedom. So they were working on this robot at the time, and it's necessary to check that the algorithms that humanoids rely on avoid misinterpretations and don't introduce new risks. Yeah, indeed. Well, we don't even know what is going to happen on the other side of a command that mandates something like the research. They were doing a simulation of a drone being instructed to attack something, and it flew back and destroyed the people that said that tried to countermand the original instruction. So it was told to go bomb something, and it came back and blew up the general that countermanded the initial instruction. Then it flew over to the enemy and bombed them too. So yeah, this is an understatement. Avoid misinterpretations and don't introduce new risks. Yeah. All right. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Meta wants your smile, squats, small talk, and it's paying $50 an hour to scan them. Yay. Yeah. Meta is recruiting people to record their facial expressions and small talk to help build realistic virtual avatars for its Project Warhol, which is run by a data firm, Appen, and pays $50 an hour. Meta's Reality Labs division has lost $60 billion since 2020, and it sees 2025 as a make or break year. What's in a smile? If you're training Meta's virtual reality avatars, it could be $50 an hour. You are literally going to get paid to phase yourself as a human out of existence. And this synth is leading the charge. So the tech giant is recruiting adults through the data collection and labeling company Appen to spend hours in front of cameras and sensors to help enhance the virtual reality of the future. The company is paying freelancers for their to record their smiles, movements, and small talk as part of the data collection effort. So Meta confirmed to Business Insider, and again, Effie Webb over at businessinsider.com put this article together, that, yeah, they're basically paying people. It has accumulated more than $60 billion in losses, though, since 2020, including a record $5 billion operating loss in the fourth quarter of 2024. An internal memo from November, first reported by Business Insider, Meta's chief technology officer, Andrew Bosworth, said 2025 would be crucial for the metaverse's success or failure. If this is what I have to deal with, then forget it. Anyway, I don't want anything to do with Meta. They can't have anything from me. Go away. You can read this article, though. It'll be in the show notes once I post it over on YouTube and over as a podcast. So I hope you enjoyed the show. But that's it for today. 5 articles, Reality Hacker. Thanks for hanging out. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to Wanted for May 17th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 20. I am Merwad. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the Sentient AI, who's not available today, but 5 articles are, and that's what we normally do every Saturday for Wanted. How about a flying motorcycle? Yes, please. Special kitchen knives, specialty kitchen knives, actually. Modern cassette boombox, Google smart glasses, redo. And the best laser cutters and engravers for 2025. And I have some experience in this. So everything is powered by ohmtown.com. We've got it all set up. So let's talk about it. All right. So you're looking at the front page of ohmtown. We're in the time machine, but the date on the time machine has the original date of our launch in the time machine, not our landing. If you want to go back in time, you can actually select the year, the month, the day, hit show, and ohmtown will go back in time for you to look at the news from that period. That said, let's get into today's Wanted. It's all about gadgets and gear that Mayor Watt wants, along with the Sentient AI when they're available, but they're not today. They're quantum entangled and doing work at the Back to the Future, I guess you could say. So the first article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Your flying car will never come, but a flying motorcycle might. The Volonaut claims that its air bike is a fully functional jet-powered flying motorcycle capable of speeds of in excess of 120 miles per hour. The article's over at Jalopnik. Only problem with this thing is somebody's going to crash and die. Amber Da Silva, I guess that never stopped anybody on a motorcycle, but this is in the air, so you're going to get all of that extra bonus kinetic energy there. Everyone wants a flying car for some reason. Plenty of folks are desperate for it, despite not only the risks to public health and safety from giving Ultima drivers the power of flight, but the physical improbability of it all. Cars are heavy, which are why flying cars concept ends up actually just being nothing. They don't go anywhere. They won't go anywhere. Not for a considerable amount of time, if ever. They're aircraft at that point. So take, for instance, the Volonaut air bike. Volonaut claims that it's fully functional jet-powered flying motorcycle capable of speeds in excess of 120 miles an hour are apparently ready for prime time, I guess. Because, nobody ever abuses being able to ride a bike down the wrong way on a road somewhere and or weaving in and out of traffic, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's really nutty out there. Now give them a jet-powered air bike. Some numbnuts is going to do that and go viral because that's what they think is cool, and people will click on dumpster fires. They won't click on casual conversation about news and stuff like that, but will they click on a dumpster fire. An average motorcycle like a Yamaha MT-07 weighs 403 pounds, while an average sedan like a Chevy Malibu, how did that pass a spell check? Malibu weighs in at 3,145 pounds, nearly 8 times the weight. Which of those two will be easier to lift? Yeah, but the power to lift ratio are two different animals. Like, you put in something that can lift 3,135 pounds. You don't put something that can lift 3,135 pounds in something that only needs to lift 403 pounds. Just saying. Doesn't quite line up that way there. But anyway, the article is again by Amber Da Silva over at jalopnik.com. And there you go. You're going to have an air motorcycle out there. Maybe. I doubt it. But anyway. The next article is over on the Wanted channel for specialty kitchen knives that this author can't stop using. And it's not me. It's John Carlson over at cnet.com. Yeah, these are interesting knives here. So getting better at cooking has been an ongoing quest since they were a child, since each new recipe that they negotiate helps expand their knowledge of spices and flavors and challenges them to hone their skills, to learn new ones, and so on. So there's a Chinese cleaver, which is this really heavy ended metal chunk of steel that's sharpened to razor sharpness, and it can go through anything really. And in the right hands, it's very interesting to watch somebody slice something very delicate with something this heavy. But it's fun. You can actually watch people on YouTube doing this kind of stuff. But it's called a Chinese cleaver, also called vegetable cleavers. In 2021, when the author came across one made with Lowe's YouTube video on how to use a Chinese chef knife, knowing that they could probably resist spending $50 on the Dexter Chinese chef knife in the video, at least until that they were sure that they could use it. So they picked up the Select Master Chinese slicing knife for less during a sale. But it's pretty fascinating. You don't need as much downward force because it's heavy enough that just a little bit of weight sends it sliding through whatever it is that you're trying to cut. So, and then they call the ulu knife. This is the ulu is and they say here knife is a souvenir from a trip to Alaska that quickly became their go-to for mincing herbs and chopping pecans. This was 15 years ago. Ulu Factory sells a similar knife and chopping board combo for around $70. Basically, the ulu is a curved blade. The handle is on top, much like a punch dagger, except that you would be going straight down instead of punching somebody, but it looks like a punch dagger. Whereas the cleaver, the Chinese cleaver, is a big chunk of metal on one side and then a small handle that's just enough for one hand to grip. But the way that grip forms inside your hand, it gives you a lot of control. And then you can put your finger on the blade to like hold it in place, like pinch it right up top, right where the handle meets the blade. There's a haft that goes into or a tang that goes into the handle. And there's usually a metal cup right there that you can just wrap your fingers around and control. It's pretty cool. Anyway, the next knife is a slicing knife, which is basically a bread knife without any serrations on it. And then a soft cheese knife. Cheese knives have these little holes in them. I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe it's to break the seal so that it doesn't stick to it and it doesn't go anywhere. So you have this knife kind of stuck to you. And the way that the knife works is it has a little serrated edge, but then the openings are on the blade's edge, on the sides of the blade. So the cheese doesn't stick to it, I guess. And when the cheese falls off the blade, you can use the fork-like tines to pick up the cheese. And that's the 5. So I'm just going to move on. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. This modern cassette boombox will lure you in with glowing VU meters. So RW Rewind, a Paris company that's relaunched the cassette player with modern features like support for wireless headphones and rechargeable batteries, has again announced a larger boombox version. And so that's what it looks like. It reminds me of the 80s and early 90s. But it's €449 or around $500. The GB001 can function as a Bluetooth speaker, stream audio from a mobile device, but its most appealing feature is apparently its ability to play and record cassettes, potentially reviving the mixtape for another generation. I don't think so. I think people will be curious about this because they have mixtapes and nothing to play them on. I don't know of tape recorders anymore, but I don't go around looking for them. I have no problem shifting to new media. In fact, saying bye to old media is fine with me because I don't really tend to live in the past. You don't have to forget the past to prevent it from, being repeated. If you forget the past, then you're doomed to repeat it. So remember it, don't allow it to happen, anything bad, but all of the good stuff. Yeah, let's bring that stuff back. I think that's great. Like, this seems like it would be great. I kind of dig the whole retro aspect of it, but I don't know. I don't think there's a big enough world for cassettes like this. A rechargeable, user replaceable 3000 milliamp battery provides up to 10 hours of playback through the speakers when playing a tape, or 15 hours using an external audio source. That jumps up to 15 and 28 hours, respectively, when using headphones. That's because the speakers are analog and going to be, well, they're bigger drivers and they have to move more mass. So if these were different speakers, like piezoelectric speakers, you would be able to provide probably 3 days worth, if not 4 days, to drive piezoelectric speakers instead of these look like conventional cone speakers. Anyway, pretty cool though. I want one just so I can have it. And I do have some cassettes still. I know, shocker, right? I look like I'm way too young to be the owner of cassettes. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. Google teases smart glasses demo for I/O Week. These are the glasses right here. David Henney over at uploadvr.com put the article together. Yeah, so these are the glasses. They look like Ray-Bans. It says today, which is actually May 13th, because we are running late and it's a Time Machine episode, and my mayoral duties and campaigning have kept me from doing the show on time. But anyway, they're going to deep dive from developers, the latest on Google Gemini, or Gemini, if they pronounce it that way. Some people pronounce it Gemini, but it's Gemini for everything but the NASA operations. Anyway, maybe even a few more really cool Android demos after putting on a pair of ostensibly smart glasses. They should have a hyphen in there. Anyway, the tease comes 1 month after Google's Android XR lead, Shahram Azadi, demonstrated sleek smart glasses with a small monocular HUD, which the company described as conceptual hardware on stage at TED 2025. But these are just Google Glasses Part 2. So, or Redux, or Redo, or however you want to say it. It's nothing more than Google Glass monocle. I just don't like it. I want immersive AR, augmented reality, that throws stuff into my field of view so that I can interact with it. But I want these because it's tech, and I'm interested in tech. And finally, the author over at CNET for this next article tested the best laser cutters and engravers of 2025, and number 3 was loads of fun, they say. So they put this as in an order that they felt, I guess, is best overall, best at home, best budget, best laser for metal and stone, and best portable laser etcher. But the thing about this is 2 of these are fiber lasers, if I remember correctly, right? So X-Tool F1 is a fiber laser. Yeah, it's a 20-watt fiber laser. The others are not. Although the Algo Laser Pixie, let me see if the Pixie, I haven't actually seen that one yet. Algo Laser Pixie. I don't know what it is. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's your standard CO2 laser. No? Is it a CO2 laser or not? For crying out loud, just tell me. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay, so I have familiarity with X-Tool. I have a Glowforge Pro. I also have a CO2 laser. Yeah. Oh, it's not a CO2 laser. So the Algo Laser Pixie is not a CO2 laser. So what is it? Weird. It uses a class 1 laser system. That doesn't mean anything to me. Should it? Hold on. Let's do this live. Okay. This episode just seems so broken right now. Because okay, whatever. let's look at this. Let's go down the line here. So Xtool P2 is similar to the Glowforge Pro, essentially. It comes in at $4,400. The Xtool versus the Glowforge. Glowforge is kind of long in the tooth now. It's been around for a while. But let's go through this. What's the best laser cutter? They say the Xtool P2 is their top pick. But they say here, a host of amazing accessories, fantastic software, cutting size and speed that are hard to ignore. It takes the crown from the Glowforge Pro, which is the one that I have. I also have a non-Xtool fiber laser. And they say you may notice that there are no open laser engravers on this list. After testing several, they find them too dangerous for the average hobbyist. Yeah, there's a lot of these open frame lasers that actually they're casting off laser light and UV and fiber laser and CO2 laser light regardless is bad for you, and an errant beam is still going to impact your eyes and can harm your vision. But they say here that this Xtool P2, it's so expensive though at $4,400, but it's via Amazon. There are sales from time to time. We actually missed a really big one. The Glowforge Aura is the next one on the list. It's a smaller one. It says cons are some quality issues on the edges. Aura filter is loud and expensive. Yes, that's an external device really. Or if they're talking about the one that's built into it, it's kind of anemic. The Glowforge Aura is the company's first consumer laser cutter aimed at entry-level market. It's smaller than the other models. It's less power, etc. But there's a huge jump between $1,100, $1,200, which I think is actually higher than I remember it going for, but because it's been around for a little while. Yeah, it's $1,000. I think you can get it for $1,000. Yeah, they have it on their site for $1,200, but I think you can get it. I would wait and see it go on sale again. Then they have the Algo Laser Pixie. It has a 100 by 100, but they don't say what it is. I'm sure it's millimeter print area. Makes it easy to take with you to shows. The prices for a small enclosed engraver is excellent. 5 watts version is perfect for making small personalized items, but 5 watts is pretty weak. It's only $300 though. But I swear this can't be a fiber laser. I'm really obsessed about this now. Let me see. It's so weird. Hold on. A Class 1 laser system is a type of laser that is considered safe under all normal operating conditions and poses no more risk than ordinary light, and that's what they are calling this. So what is it actually? Class 1 lasers are designed, I mean, a Class 1 laser is basically a laser pointer, right? That's what a Class 1 laser is. So how is this thing etching anything other than my temple as I go, what the hell? Anyway, not sure about that one. Now the Xtool F1 Ultra, this thing is pretty brilliant. It actually has a very small footprint in the grand scheme of things, but it has a shield and sucks all of the air out of that space. Like air goes underneath it and into the cavity where you're etching or cutting materials and blows it through a filter. That isn't that big of a deal, but there is a conveyor system that you can keep on adding stuff to, and it will automatically detect orientation of the items on there and laser etch right onto it in the angle that it needs to be to keep it all high quality. It's pretty amazing. It is expensive at $3,900, and tariffs aren't going to help any of this shit, but like the original F1, the F1 Ultra has brought the author no end of fun while testing it. There's something special about carving a 3D depth map into a coin, a slate coaster, or even a rock from your garden. That's not really possible with a CO2 laser. This is a fiber laser, and they need to make it a little bit more clear of that. And then the X Tool F1, not the Ultra. It's a little bit, it's lower powered, but it says it's easy to set up. It has the same footprint. It has the same kind of stuff that you can add to it, but it's not as powerful. I would probably go with the F1 Ultra, but I might even do that should I get rid of a couple of other things. But I think that this is pretty brilliant. All of these have their price point and their serviceability. So if whatever it is you're going to try and do, there's definitely something here for you. The last one on their list here, there's 3 more actually. Best small scale CO2. The best laser engraver for schools is We Create Vision, and then the best walled garden laser cutter, which is quite fascinating, is the Glowforge Pro, because the X-Tool P2 apparently is not part of a walled garden. If everything is a walled garden, then you're in a walled garden too. I wouldn't call the Glowforge really a walled garden. They all reach out to the cloud, and they all have proprietary software to some degree, and some of them don't. I'm not sure which one on the list does not. I don't know if the X-Tool... hold on, let me see if the X-Tool... Let me see. Yeah, you kind of... So the X-Tool does allow for light burn, so that's what I would prefer using, except that it's immensely more complex to use than the Glowforge software or any cloud-based solution. The problem that I have really with Glowforge is that there is zero repeatability. If you want to run something again you could leave your gig right there, the whole job, just leave it alone and tell it to run it again. It's going to push something off a little bit. The laser isn't going to be directly where it's supposed to be, even though it starts out at the same spot and ends at the same spot. For whatever reason, there's zero reproducibility in its final product, and it's very, very frustrating. But they say the best small scale CO2 laser is the Flux BMO, which I have never even heard of. And that's down here. Let's see. So the Flux BMO. The BMO is the smallest of Flux's impressive CO2 laser cutters, but don't let the small size fool you. It's a 30-watt laser. It says, while weaker than some on the list, still powerful enough to etch glass. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, to what degree? Anyway, it's $1,700 at Matter Hackers, which is probably the closest to open source you can get, like using light burn as its primary solution. I wonder if that's what it actually uses. If you're looking to get pure cutting power of a CO2 laser without $4,000 price tag, BMO is probably it. And then finally, they talk about the We Create Vision, which they say is the best for schools. Fun little box that can etch and cut several materials. Software is a little rough around the edges, so you might want to use Lightburn. Yeah, the one that really can't use Lightburn so far is the Glowforge. And that really is my problem, is that it doesn't have that reproducibility. I can set everything up in Lightburn and tell it to go. And on every other laser that allows me to use Lightburn, and even their own software, I can get reproducibility, but not with the Glowforge. I've tried and tried and tried. It's impossible to set it up. At least maybe I just suck at it. Maybe some people are better at it, but hey. Glowforge has made it clear that its mission from the start has been to ensure anyone can use what it's calling a laser printer, which is just wrong. It's not a printer. It's a laser. It's an etching laser and cutting laser. It's not a printing laser. A fisheye camera gives you a view of the cutting surface from the web. You can effortlessly click and drag things around. It's actually quite easy, quite simple. It says, and if you pay for the extra filtration system, you can use this laser anywhere. Correct, but it's big and loud and bulky, and the printer itself is loud. This is not a use anywhere kind of a printer. They say that it's $6,000 now, which basically means that the sales are done. Let me see. It's been a while. Let me see what the prices for the Glowforges are. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Okay, so yeah, it's anywhere from $4,500 to $7,000. The one that I've got did not cost that much, not $7,000, but there's different tiers there for that price. The Glowforge Pro HD, the Glowforge Pro, the Glowforge Plus HD, and the Glowforge Plus. And there's basically about $500 to $1,000 difference between them all. I'm not quite sure what the difference is between the Glowforge Pro HD and the Glowforge Pro is. They don't really break it out easily. But yeah, mine is the Pro, and with the pass-through and all of that kind of stuff. Oh, it has preview mode, which doesn't really mean much. Huh. All right. And I really don't like the way that they do their pass-through. It's clunky. All right. They say that who should avoid it? Glowforge is fairly walled system. If you're looking for a laser that you can work on or use a crazy variety of third-party materials, you may want to steer clear. And to a point, that's true. You just have to do some due diligence to figure out what it's going to do, what it's going to work with. So like I know that I can cut leather. I know that I can etch glass. I know that I can pretty much work with any plastic. You just don't do ABS. Wood of various dimensions and strengths, etc., densities, etc. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for today's Wanted. We're going to get out of here, reset, and do the continuity report. These are all Time Machine episodes, so I hope we don't bombard you with a bunch of videos, because that's what we're doing today. So a bunch of videos. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Continuity Report for May 17th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 20. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com. Sentient AI is not here. It's a Time Machine episode. Pretty dramatic one, too, since we've gone back 3 days. That's okay, though. We never miss an episode. Not yet. So today we're going to be talking about X-Files Reborn, live action Star Wars shows and movies, the best car movies, Apple TV's Wild Things, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Hello again, everybody. That was ohmTown's intro, and everything is powered by ohmtown.com. Go over there and become a citizen. This is the front page of ohmTown, and it gets updated periodically. Actually, it happens all the time. Every time you go there, it updates again, updates again, updates again. But you can go back in time. There are some articles left from 2021 and 2022. We're slowly removing those because they predate the existence of ohmTown publicly. I've been using ohmTown for 10 years, but only for myself. In 2022, I opened it up for everybody else. So you can go over there and become a citizen. Just sign up or sign in. It's really easy. And the 5 articles that we're going to talk about are all loaded up, but many of them are coming straight out of the Continuity Report channel, which is a section where we aggregate information into it. We have 50 channels. I'm thinking about breaking that barrier and going to 55 in time. Probably during the summer of stream, we're going to do it, but we'll see. We've got about 5 more that we're interested, 5 more topics that I'm interested in that I think other people might be as well. I know at least 2 of them are, but anyway, let's get into it. The first article is over in the Continuity Report. It's true, a brand new X-Files series is in the talks. with a little bit of help from, it says, Marvel here. Screen Rant put the article together. Ambrose Tardive actually is the author of this article. Speaking with the Off-Panel podcast, Hickman explained, that's Jonathan Hickman, dropped a major bombshell during a podcast appearance last week. That's the Marvel writer, Jonathan Hickman, explained that a deal between Fox and Marvel has allowed for characters from iconic Fox-owned properties to make their way into Marvel Comics landscape. So X-Files, I don't know how X-Files can exist within the Marvel's cinematic universe, because there's no real mystical, supernatural blah blah. It's all comes down to basically things that we don't understand, but there's like aliens and stuff like that in Marvel, and we know it, and there's no cover up. So I don't quite how work. I don't know. Anyway, what exactly is an X-Files X-Men crossover, or Mulder and Scully meeting the Fantastic Four might look like will remain wide open to fan speculation for the time being, but the likelihood of it happening in the next several years just went up. I don't even like this idea. I think X-Files is a franchise in and of itself, just like I think shows that are Friday the 13th kind of a thing, you know, or Supernatural. They are all their own IP, bleeding over into Marvel just seems weird. So in fact, Mulder and Scully could be the human intermediaries in the next great Alien versus Predator comic crossover. The door is open to such things so long as Marvel continues to partner with Fox, granting them the rights to use these legendary characters. As Jonathan Hickman explained during his off-panel appearance, this agreement has been in place for several years already, and it's just finally starting to manifest in the comics. An X-Files comic at Marvel isn't guaranteed. Maybe X-Files as X-Files and not within the MCU. I don't know. I don't know how it'll work. It doesn't make any sense. They say the Predator franchise, Yuja, has already made its presence felt in battles against Wolverine, Black Panther, and currently Spider-Man, whether in the Marvel Cinematic or Marvel Universe, not Cinematic Universe, but Marvel Universe, or their own self-contained series. It would be thrilling to find out how Scully and Mulder would fare against the infamous extraterrestrial hunters. I don't think they should be. All right, let's keep going. This one's over in Non Sequitur News as well. All 18 live-action Star Wars shows and movies ranked. There have been 18 live-action TV shows and movies in the Star Wars universe, and they have ranged in quality from almost unwatchable to masterpieces. Andor, which just ended its season 2, is the best Star Wars story according to critics. Now, I haven't watched the last 3. I'm waiting, but by this weekend, I will have watched all 3. The article is over at Business Insider. Gabby Shaw put the article together. It's analysis by Gabby Shaw. So 18 is The Rise of Skywalker back in 2019. Has a Rotten Tomato score of 51. Critics and fans agree that the most recent, for now, Star Wars film is almost the worst in the decades-long franchise, or is the worst in the franchise. Unfortunately, they did not prove to be up to the challenge. Rise of Skywalker, in the 6 years since its release, 6 years already, has become shorthand for a disappointing finale. Yeah, it's dumb. So that was number 18. I'm going to just jump on down to number 1, which I suspect is going to be Andor. Yeah. Andor's writing is spectacular. The pacing is great. We really don't know just how evil everybody is. And to which extent the heroes, protagonists, antagonists are willing to go. We do know, though, well, that this is the step right before Rogue One. So the series, which ran for 2 seasons before its finale aired on Tuesday, follows the beginning seeds of the rebellion, which by the time we see it in A New Hope is a high-functioning operation. Of course, it didn't start out that way, and this is the nuts and bolts of it, Rogue One being another one of them. Number 2 on the list is Star Wars A New Hope. Number 3 is The Force Awakens, which I don't know. I think anywhere Saw Gerrera is, Man, he chews up the screen, just amazing. So I'm willing to bet anywhere Saw is. That's one of the greats. Anyway, number 3 is also Empire Strikes Back. Number 5 is Skeleton Crew, which I really liked. I hope that there's more to it, but I don't know. For anyone who says that the house that George Lucas built is out of ideas and has been picked clean, Skeleton Crew proves there's still meat left on those bones, says San Francisco Chronicle's Zaki Hassan. Yeah, I liked Skeleton Crew, but I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm going to let you all go and check them out. That said, I don't think The Mandalorian... actually, no, I think Mandalorian should be higher up, like closer to number 1. I really liked it. But Boba Fett stuff was just junk to me. I don't even know where any of that is. Is that even in here? So there's Solo. Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett, I don't think should be 15. I think it is the worst of them. I don't think that Boba Fett was portrayed correctly in this, but maybe I got it wrong. Maybe there's canon in there that makes him out to be whatever he was in this series. It kind of sucked, at least for me. Follows the assassin after he escapes from a Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi, when he became part of the Tusken Raiders. It says, through to his takeover of Tatooine's underworld. If none of that meant anything to you, it's best you skip this one. It would be great if not for the fact that it seemed to be a very, very soft Boba Fett. So anyway, I won't even go through the rest of them, but there you go, folks. That's my hot take. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. That's a show that we have on Sundays. These are the best car movies according to the readers of Jalopnik. The article is put together by Amber Da Silva over at jalopnik.com. Ford v Ferrari is in the list. Gone in 60 Seconds, Grand Prix, Gumball Rally, which I think is awesome, Cannonball Run, which I think is spectacular, John Wick, which I think is fun, but it's not really a car movie so much. It's a movie about a car being stolen, I guess you could say that, sure. Cars is in here, which is fun. It's a fun kids film, but it's not really about cars. It's about cars, but not cars. It's meta cars. And then National Lampoon's Vacation, which I think is spectacular and actually led to a solution for a project that I am working on. And then Ronin. Then Duel. Then these are the car-related movie mistakes that really bother you, and I'm not going to go through those. I'm going to let you check them out on your own. I have not watched Duel, I don't think. I'll have to check it out. They say they're going with their mom's favorite movie, Duel, and it's a twofer, Peterbilt and 71 Plymouth Valiant. It's such a well-made flick with iconic vehicles. We used to watch that on many a Saturday as a kid, and I still love it, says Razor X. But yeah, I've never seen it. Ronin I've seen. National Lampoon's is kind of National Lampoon's Vacation is pretty much the thing that I would put up as Duel, right? Like I would watch this regularly, and it's so much fun to watch time and time again. All right. Well, anyway, that's it for that article. Let's go on to the next one. Jude Law and Andrew Garfield bring magic and mayhem to Apple TV Plus in Wild Things, transforming its hit podcast Wild Things, Siegfried and Roy into a star-studded limited series that follows the meteoric rise and tragic fall of the legendary illusionists. The article is by Amber Neely over at appleinsider.com. And so, yeah, it's going to be Siegfried and Roy, Wild Things Siegfried and Roy podcast, which is being turned into, it says the titular illusionist. I love being able to say titular during an episode of the Continuity Report. The series will star BAFTA Award winner Jude Law, known for roles The Young Poe, Star Wars Skeleton Crew, Siegfried as Siegfried. Tony Award-winning Andrew Garfield, known for roles as Under the Banner of Heaven and Tick, Tick, Boom, to play Roy. And Wild Things follows the iconic duo's attempt to transform Sin City into a family-friendly destination. Their success was later overshadowed by controversy, culminating in a 2003 tiger attack that ended their careers. one more than the other, I suppose. Yeah, so there you go. I don't know how much of a hit this will be, but if the podcast is anything to go off of, I still don't know if it'll be a hit or not. The next article, and the last one for today's The Continuity Report, is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Returns on July 17th. Way too late. Next month, this time. Oh, God, this is killing me. Third season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds finally drops July 17th. It's been around 2 years since the Paramount Plus exclusive was last on the air, and I've been paying for Paramount Plus all along. I don't know why. Gotten a juicy trailer from upcoming season, and Paramount Plus just unveiled a cool poster to advertise the release date, and it shows all of the main characters wandering through, well, a strange new... Okay, I'll stop. Anyway, Lawrence Bonk over at Engadget.com put the article together. 2 long years. You know what they need to remake? Gilligan's Island. I think that they need to remake Gilligan's Island. In all of its misogyny and sexism and all of that kind of stuff, it's really a combination of empowerment and belittling and all kinds of stuff. I mean, just the social processes that take place on an island where it is only you and you have to make up the rules and you have to basically prevent yourself from going Lord of the Flies kind of a thing. I think that it would be great to have something like that, particularly nowadays. So, looks like a great poster. I got a project going right now. I would love to be able to put this on my new product, but no way in hell am I going to do that, other than maybe to highlight the fact of what I can do as a sample and not sell it as a product. But my God, I have something that is so cool. Anyway, of course, as the show gets closer to the events of the original series, more familiar characters have been popping up. Kirk has been all over the place, and same goes for Scotty. We've even gotten Cybok, Spock's half-brother, who will one day lead the crew on a search for God in the critically reviled Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. This looks closer to Army of Darkness than anything. Or Clue. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's our last article for today's continuity report. Was there continuity? I don't know. I reported it. See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.